It's like, I can do all this myself. I can
Yeah.
not know things myself and use Google, like I don't need a doctor to not know things for me. Robert, how did you find Carnivore?
Uh, so maybe I start with my health issues first, because that's what led me to it. Um, when the pandemic started, the gyms were closed, and um, I decided to get my road bike and start riding. And I did that in 2020, uh, mid 2020. And I started riding. I was fortunate enough to find local cycling clubs here in my hometown. And over the time, I was getting stronger, better. I was able to ride farther with people faster. Going back, 2021, I rode over 5,000 miles over the course of the whole year. So that was like, for me, that was pretty good. So that kind of tells you how much I would ride. And I did a couple rides of 100 miles, and going to Lake Tahoe and riding those hills. So I would say I was getting better, stronger, and more fit. And suddenly in 2022, I noticed that I start sweating more through the exercise. And then by more, I mean a lot of more. Like I would be drenched in sweat. And with that, I would lose strength. So I was losing all the electrolytes. Um, to the point that from riding 60, 50, 60 miles a day, there was no problem. One day I rode only 15 miles, and I had to stop. I didn't feel good. My friends saw it, and then they rode back with me home, making sure that I'm okay. And that was enough for me. I went to see a doctor, and uh, long story short, for 3 years I've seen more doctors than I have in by the previous time since I was born, and I'm 50 years old. Uh, I've seen cardiologists, which they did 3 different tests on my heart, including running the probe through my veins to the heart. Uh, Test my lungs, test my kidneys, test my stomach. I got gastroscopy, test my hormones over the 3 year period. And everybody was like, not shrugging shoulders, but they were like, well, we don't know. That doesn't seem like anything wrong with you. And at some point, even suggestion that I surgically remove my sweat glands. So there is no, so that's kind of like, why are you not focusing on the root cause of the problem? You just want to manage the symptoms, which what I start thinking. And then I know for a fact now that that's what most of doctors do. And at the uh, third year, I asked my doctor, maybe there's something with my nutritionist. So they send me to the nutritionist, and then they run more, I would say, in-depth tests on me. Still couldn't find anything. I was on 30 plus pill regimen per day. There were supplements, and that didn't seem like it was working for me. It wasn't. So, what led me to Carnivore? During those 3 years, I was doing my own research, like going through YouTube videos, Facebook Reels. I read a bunch of uh, research papers, uh, and nothing was. I didn't find anything that would apply to me. So I was never technically diagnosed with anything. During that time, I've seen videos, including yours, how I remember how Carnivore changed your life. Start following, doctors. Was Dr. Berg, Sean Baker, Anthony Shafee. If I missed, there was one more doctor. So that was kind of like my last straw. And then before I start Carnivore, I was thinking about it. Like, from the time I founded, I've seen your testimonies on videos, different people. I was preparing my brain to kind of think differently, and it wasn't easy. I have to admit. I started. I was starting Carnivore Diet 3 times. Like first 2 times, it only lasted maybe like 2 days. Uh, you know, first meal of the day, breakfast, eggs, scrambled eggs, and bacon. Sounds awesome. But then later later the day, and I'm thinking, oh no, I have to make steak. And I love steak, but it was steak with potatoes and vegetables, and there was some sauce on it. Uh, so that eating steak by itself didn't appeal to me. So that was the reason why I failed 2 times. And then the third time, I came with the plan that instead of steak, I'll start doing something else. Like I tried making chicken wings in the air fryer. I would try eat pork chops, pork in the slow cooker. Uh, I added raw dairy to the diet. I really enjoy the kefir. But what I found is that it's not optimal if you want to lose weight also. And I gained, I was 275. I'm 6'3", 6'3" I was 275. Let me go back again. So I stopped riding the bicycle, uh, but we were going in June last year to Europe trip, and I tried to lose weight. So I started walking more. And in the past year back, I would go for a walk, maybe a mile, and I was, tired. I was sweating just walking, and I started walking even before I start carnivore, just to get a little bit used to walking, losing a little bit of weight. But when I started carnivore, I noticed that I didn't sweat as much, and I felt a little bit better because, in addition to my sweating issues, which one nutritionist said that there is strong body that deals with something inside. Like all my results were, normal, but it was battling, fighting something, and we didn't know. It was like mold poison. We tested for it, though that was inconclusive. They thought maybe I had Lyme disease, and I did test on that. Didn't seem like that was the route to go. And so yeah. So additional to my sweat problems, for last 2 years, I noticed I start having joint pain. Like I would have tennis elbows. I had frozen shoulders on my both hands. Uh, and going back to that walk before I started carnivore earlier, 2024, I would walk for I don't know 4 miles, and would come home, and my uh, uh, hip joints were kind of bothering me, and then they were stiff, so I would have to stretch them before feeling a little bit better. Uh, so we came back from Europe in June, first half of June, and that's when I start trying the carnivore. Like those two times I kind of failed. And then the third time I start counting day pass one another and got hooked on it. And I noticed that I was able to walk a little bit stronger, if that's the for the lack of different word. But I felt better, walking. I stopped having hip problems. My pain in elbow was gone. I still had to deal with my frozen shoulder, but uh, that happened before I start carnivore. So I was going through physiotherapy, and then now it's better. But the main thing I was noticing is that I don't sweat as much. I still would sweat here in California summer. I would walk for 4 miles, 5 miles during the weekdays, and maybe like 8 to 12 miles during the weekends. And I was tired a little bit, and then sweating, but nearly as much. The only downside of the diet was that I was not fat adapted, I would say, for bicycle rides. So like 20 miles, 25 miles, I was out of juice, and um, I still am. I stopped riding. I'm hoping to get back when it's a little bit warmer here. But
So, you started the third time you started, you were doing like chicken wings and pork chops and that kind of thing. Um, have you kind of gone from there back to steak now? So you've got
yes,
more of a
yes,
fatty meat?
yes. So I try. I would buy ribeye steak and stir and make the steak as fatty as it comes. And at the beginning, after the well, I tried to mix it a little bit with the chicken and pork. I noticed that when I ate the fat of this steak, my body didn't agree with it, so it kind of had this uh, motion of throwing up, like. But that didn't happen. And I've heard Dr. Ken Berry, he said that your taste, taste buds, they adjust to the diet that you are on. It. I couldn't believe it. And then in October, we went to Maui for a trip, and I went to this Costco, and I bought 10 slices of steak, and that's what I was cooking. And I noticed second day of that on that trip, that's all what I would eat: eggs and steak out there, and I had nothing else, no fruit. My wife would have normal, fruits and stuff. Um, on second day, I noticed that it is true. Like I start liking this meat. I start liking eating that stuff. I was actually looking forward to another meal, and then that's how it started. Um, Going back home, now I only eat eggs, ground beef in the morning when I go to the gym, and then 1 pound, maybe even more of ribeye steak. And so that's the days when I would go to the gym. If I don't go to the gym, I kind of do the intermittent fasting or one meal a day, which is fry eggs with ribeye steak. And then that fills me up. I don't feel hungry. Well, yeah, the part of the carnivore diet is that you have to watch, uh, that you have to force kind of yourself to eat because you don't feel as hungry as you would on the standard diet. Um, and that meat, that was actually the turning point that I start feeling much better. Like the joint pains would go away with that chicken, with that pork. That didn't. It it was better than before because I didn't eat carbs and sugar. But with this beef, that that was really a game changer for me. And also, there was this young lady on YouTube, Steak and Butter Gal, and I joined their club for a month, and then they were talking about the priming. You have for a couple weeks you have to eat 3 meals a day, and I tried to do it. Uh, I didn't last couple weeks. I last maybe a week. Um, but that kind of I was able to educate myself that this is the not only the food you put in your body to because you are hungry, you put in the nutritions that help heal you. Simply put, it was 4 months. Christmas Eve, going back a few days before Christmas Eve, I got sick with a cold. I didn't feel like eating, so I was on fasting for 84 hours. And Christmas Eve came, and I had a like moment of weakness that turned to the whole week of Christmas spirit when I could told my wife, said, yeah, it's holidays, let's do it. So start eating normal food, and I felt fine. I gained some weight, but what I noticed is I bought a cheeseburger with fries from fast food restaurant, and almost I I ate that afternoon, and the next morning I woke up with the joint pain again, and that was like okay, so inflammation is going back, and I think it's due to seed oils, I mean, because that's what they usually you know make the price with. The other observation that I made going back to my health issues is prior to those issues, I was on vegan diet, cycling being on vegan diet for a year, and I ended that end of 2022. Few months later, I started noticing those problems, and I didn't connect the dots until like not that long ago. To help with my symptoms, I did try sauna, breathing techniques, the Wim Hof method. I was doing during winter time. I have a like big farmers to outside or put wherever they put the water for their animals in the farm. So filled out that's like 100 gallons water tub. I would froze water bottles and put it in it, and I would sit in that for like 10 to 15 minutes almost every day, and then that helped temporarily um, a little bit. So yeah, during that course of my sick journey, I tried everything I could find on the internet that would improve my health, and sadly, none of that help came from trained physicians and trained professionals that they are you know uh, help
Right.
with that.
So could I just clarify? Um, being on carnivore for about 4 months,
Right. So I came
right?
back again after New Year. I started again on that
Right.
carnivore. Yeah.
Right. So doing it for that period of time, the joint pain went away, of course, until you had that little moment at
Mm.
Christmas time. But
But that
also
was
the sweat issue completely cleared, or
well.
it's
I
still
you see that's the thing. When I was younger, I was active. I was on high school basketball team. I in college that would be on that college team, basketball team. It's not as advanced as it was here, but and I would still sweat. I would ride my mountain bike. I would sweat, uh, and even before that. when I started cycling again here, I would still sweat more than other people, but that was kind of normal for me. I didn't lose as much electrolytes. I wasn't, in the middle of the ride, I would suddenly have no fuel in my legs, and that was that's more sweating. I noticed 3, maybe 4 months after I quit that vegan diet. Additional to my joint problems, I forgot to mention that uh, I have problem with plantar fascia on my feet, so I had to have custom orthotics. Used to play basketball. I would twist my ankles several times, and my Achilles still would bother me. Um, and so I had to wear those orthotics for close to like 15 years, if not more. And suddenly, after starting that carnivore, I noticed I am able to walk without it. Just regular shoe inserts, and I would walk for 10. One time, I even walked 12 miles, and there was no problem with that. Uh, the other health improvement is that I was diagnosed with hypotension, with high blood pressure, mid 2000, and I've been on that medication since just to manage you know the condition, not to fix anything. I was told I will be on that for the rest of my life. After I've done the heart tests and then they didn't show anything, I came up with Gary Becca. He had this video talking about high blood pressure if you have no heart conditions, and he mentioned something that there is some problems with the DNA that cannot metabolize homocysteine in your body. Homocysteine kind of blocks the veins in your body, and so I start, and he recommended to buy this amino acid to start, and I did that. That was maybe like 2 or 3 months before I start doing carnivore, and then that improved my blood pressure, stabilized my blood pressure, stopped taking those pills, and I monitor it, and but with the weight loss that came with the carnivore diet, that's even better. So those are the main points that I can think of right now.
Right.
I'm not sure if that sweating is completely resolved because I can't write. One more thing. I have a specific job. I'm a civil engineer that take care of. We make sure that the biggest bridges in Bay Area that are open to public, that they are usable, that are safe to use. So we have to go and climb those bridges, walk those cables, climb in like small spaces, crawl out there, whatever. And I went on one inspection with my friends, with my coworkers. We came up, they're all fine, and my whole clothes are so wet that I had to rush into the car. I didn't want to stay on the wind to get sick from it, I guess. With the pain, with the joint pain, I noticed that was harder for me to do my job. Like part of 50% of it is that we have to be on the bridge and check the conditions of it. The other 50, we are in the office or home office and write the reports. I was so encouraged to the point that I was looking for early retirement. Like I was thinking about switching the department at my job, and then like 5 months, 5 years, be done with it and go to different country. And now that thought process, it's still in the back of my head, but it's like farther away. I feel like uh, I'm doing much better. And going back to that sweating, if there is a proof, I went back to the gym at the end of the last year, start going back again, and I would do squats. and deadlift. And in the past, even when I was before that condition, I was always at the beginning, especially at the beginning stages of heavy exercise, I would sweat. Like maybe one day I would be drenched in sweat. This time I started doing that, and then there was nothing. I no, regular perspiration, but it wasn't heavy. The reason why I stopped also going to the gym, that was 2023, because I would go to the gym, do regular exercises, and my whole clothes, my shorts, my shirt was wet. And I noticed people were looking at me. I was like, okay, I don't need this. So I stopped going to the gym. I stopped riding, and it wasn't like very good place to be mentally, I would say, you know?
Yeah, I can understand your feeling about work, like if every time you have to go out on the bridge and you're climbing around and then you find yourself drenched
Right.
and it's just like, yeah, I need to do something else. I need to get out of this. I can fully understand that feeling. Yeah. So that's good that things are improving. That's really really good. Um so you've been it's getting towards 5 months now, right?
Hmm.
Um, are you still eating the same way? Like you mentioned, like bacon and eggs for breakfast and then a steak and
Well,
sometimes intermittent fasting. Does it still go that way?
so don't eat bacon. I focus on beef now and eggs. So the days that I go to the gym, I try to go to the gym early in the morning, like 4 a.m. And then after that, I would come back home, take shower, and make a breakfast. So that would be ground beef with eggs in the morning, and then the steak afternoon. But on the days when I don't go to the gym, I wake up, I don't feel hungry, and I still want to lose weight. Uh, little bit. So I only do like one meal a day, uh, and I do steak with just like a pound, maybe a little bit over a pound of ribeye steak, and five sunny side up eggs on side. So that's and then salt water. I also take iodine in the morning with electrolytes. Yeah.
Wow, nice. Um, and so you mentioned your wife before. Has your wife been at all interested in joining you on this?
My wife, she's Chinese. She was very used eating half of her plate was rice, vegetables, and a little bit of meat. Um, Lately, I noticed she eats less of carbs. And but m- when I complain about it, she's like, "I'm not here. I'm not you. I'm not on carnivore." And but I see she improves. Like she adds more fat to the food, more butter, more um, avocados. Watching that because I made that connection that not many people do. Um, when I start, when I was in that time when I was doing my research and thinking about it, and when this carnivore came in, there are not that many people talk about the brain function and why there are so many old people dealing with dementia, with Alzheimer, and I found out that in the 70s or 60s, the normal cholesterol levels were above 200, like 220 or wherever. And now, when you are 150, they want to put you on statin to lower the cholesterol. Uh, and in my opinion, this is not, I didn't hear anybody talking about it. This is me connecting the dot. When we went to Europe, I saw my family, my father. He he would say something, and like a few minutes later, he would repeat himself. My uncle, he would not recognize me at all. He would not remember who I am, and I got eye-opening. I guess I would say. I did a little bit more research or something. I did more research, and I found out that there is this not substance, but that almost 70% of the brain, it's built from myelin that consists 100% of cholesterol. So if you are on low fat diet, uh, that means you're starving your brain. And then this is like the uh, now typical diet for what would doctors or nutritionists recommend to you. They call it balanced diet, right? Don't eat too much animal fats, eat vegetables, eat carbs and stuff. So that means that you're starving your brains for decades. That Alzheimer, that dementia, in my opinion, starts 20, 30 years prior to that when you don't provide nutrition to your brain. And that's just my opinion. They people say on that some people on that carnivore diet say that they have no longer have brain fog. Well, I really didn't have in the past, so I can't say that I'm a little bit sharper now. But uh, this uh, experience with my family that kind of opened my eyes to it, and I try to keep in mind that I need to eat fat. Prior to being vegan, I was on keto diet, but that was kind of I thought that was a clean keto diet. That we would chicken breast and fish and not much fat, and um, and that kind of led me to being a vegan, and because I was like, okay, this is like clean transition, I guess. We don't eat any fat, we don't, but I think that's a big mistake if you
Mm.
want to keep healthy. Yes.
Yeah, I really, it's really interesting you talk about the cholesterol thing, like I've heard some doctors who promote statins and that kind of thing as they're the doctors that say, "Oh, it doesn't matter. Your brain, your body can manufacture for your brain all the cholesterol it needs." And it's like, well, yeah, but you're telling us to take statins to lower our cholesterol, so
Right.
you can't have it both ways.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Going back to the doctor, I recently had physical, and then I copy from Dr. Barry's. He had a list what to test for if you are on cholesterol. So I gave this doctor this list, and yeah, he ordered those tests for me. And like a few minutes later, he got upset because he says, "I don't know what those mean. Most of them don't mean. Like I'm not, are you go? I'm not going to be able to help you if some of the results are off or whatever." And I tell him, because I told him also on carnivore, and he says that's not sustainable diet because you have no bagel. That's what he said. You can't eat bagel. It's like, okay, I have nothing else to say to you, and I don't think I'm gonna see him again. Yeah.
not
It,
sustainable because there's no bagels.
well, he did it. Well, that was his exact words, but uh, yeah, that's and then and those people make over $300,000 a year, if not more. Uh, and then they've been studying kind of like they are salesmen for the pharmaceutical companies, just peel for everything. There's so this now my wife, she told me maybe I should look for like alternative medicine doctors or whatever that they kind of open their open mind to alternative medicine.
Right.
So I'll do that. But um, as Dana White, I'm not sure if you know, he's the president of that UFC, and this Gary Becker helped him, from like very hard condition that no doctor could help. He said that he's never going back to the doctor with his regular health problems. Yeah, if you break your bone, if you need a surgery, you go to the doctors, and that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah, it just gets to the point where you realize, well, if the doctor's saying they don't know what these numbers mean, and they're telling you stuff that is just patently wrong, and when you ask them about something, they go to Google. It's like, "Well, I can do all this myself. I can
Yeah.
not know things myself and use Google, like, I don't need a doctor to not know things for me."
Well, the other thing is not knowing it's okay, but it's the willing of learning to find out about it. But he's admitting
That's
that
the
he
point.
doesn't know and he doesn't want to be involved with it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the not knowing and being totally incurious about it as
right,
well
right.
is the frustrating part, right?
And I found out about that part several times with different doctors that they are not interested on different things, even if it worked for me, they're like shrugging their shoulders and stuff. So
Yeah, and they just put it down to, "Oh, it's just some kind of genetic aberration or something." Yeah, okay, no problems, but that's not
yeah,
normal. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm on the same page, definitely. Um, so at this stage, do you feel like it's carnivore all the way for you? Can you see yourself doing carnivore 1 year from now, 2 years from now?
Just mhm. I might I might have moments maybe when I go off, but you know, if you get if you get uh let's go back again. Before Christmas, I could have my wife eating cake out there that hypothetically, and I would not have any cravings. I would not have cravings for any other foods. Um, and the Christmas came, and I was sick and stuff, and then went off this wagon, and I found after a week. Um, Starting this carnivore was kind of maybe not as hard as the first time. It was kind of a little bit harder. So instead of going straight to steak and eggs, I would go back to again to this chicken wings and a little bit of cheese and stuff. But that was for like a few days maybe, and I jump back and the the good part of this diet kind of it's like I don't want to say diet because it's not really diet per se that you have to be thinking about it every time, all day. And in my opinion, if I fall off for a little while, it's not the end of the world. Like you know, to this day, I really don't know what causes the my those my those health issues, but I believe that those months that I've been on carnivore helped rebuild my body, this the internal strength of it. And then if I fall of this lifestyle for I don't know, a couple days, I can take this as an opportunity to test what works for me and what doesn't. What like last time I told you that I think after those fries I start having mild hip problems, like start feeling the joints. But that was only for a day because I went back to the carnivore again. So I know if I fall off this wagon, no more fries, no more fast food.
Yeah, it's carnivore's got pretty good guardrails around it, because if you fall off, you kind of you re- your body tells you, hang on, this is not good again. So you eventually, It,
Right.
you kind of you take steps to get back on, right?
Dave, and um, going back to my health issues prior, I just remember something. Since I was young guy, occasionally I would have problems with my stomach. When I push myself harder than usual, my stomach would be upset, and it's kind of um, feel there was no sharp pain. There was nothing. There was like a dull pain that make me feel like I would throw up. Like for example, if I push harder uphill on the bicycle, uh, and I would have to stop, and I was like this dry cough, wherever, and I would go to the doctor, and then they ordered this gastroscopy. They didn't find anything. And going back to those deadlifts or squats, I would have the same problem if I pushed harder those, especially deadlifts and squats, that it was kind of harder for me. I would have that. I would have to stop, rest for a little bit, cough a couple times. This 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 time when I went to the gym, not being in the gym for a year, and I start doing those exercises, I feel fine. I don't. In the past, I would drink apple cider vinegar um, and lemon juice in warm water. Sometimes my stomach would be upset early in the morning. Now I don't have that feeling. So it's the carnivore diet plus the drops of iodine. Because right after I start taking the iodine, I notice that my stomach feels better, like it's not upset, and I'm able to do the exercises that if I had a break in the past between those exercises, like let's say a few months, and I would first day go out there, my stomach would be upset. This time I went out there, I started doing those, and I felt fine. I didn't have the sweat symptom. Well, it's a little cooler here in California now. It was December and stuff, but still um, nothing. So it the carnivore diet changed my life. That's I can say that with.
Robert, if you were giving someone advice about starting carnivore, what would you tell them?
You have to first make that change in your mind. It's you have yes, you have to prepare yourself mentally. For me, that how it worked. That you have to set your mind. Well, I was years back, 2016. I was really overweight. Like I was over 300 pounds, 305, I think, and I broke patella tendon in my right knee. It snapped. Um, I had that problem. That was like old injury back on my basketball days, younger days, and finally snapped. And that kind of opened my eyes. I had a surgery on it, and I was like really wondering if that doesn't heal properly, am I going to still be able to do my job? And I went on the diet that was prepared by the nutritionist from my country that my uncle was on it, and I copied that diet, and I was on it for 3 months, laying on the couch for half of that time because you can move your leg, and I lost 60 pounds at that time. But again, everything started with the mind. Like I was, concerned or scared. It was like, what will happen if I'm still that, heavy? And that's how I motivated myself to stay on it. Same with carnivore. It was the health issues that pushed me to this diet, thinking that this is the last resort I can, you know, hold to it. And people, New Year resolution. You have New Year resolution. Oh, I'm going to go on the diet, and then they go on the diet for a week, and then they uh, they stop because they don't have their mind set properly. You first have to think about it and be determined and motivated. And if your mind is not set properly, it doesn't matter what you do, you will not be successful in anything. I would say, uh, not only diets, but in your professional life, in school, and you know.
Mm. I'd like to know your opinion of this. I feel like it's always better if, like, say it's a New Year's resolution time, when it's always better to stay on plan if you're running away from something rather than running to something. So if you want weight loss, that's you're running to weight loss, right? But
Mhm.
if you don't want the pain anymore, you're running away from that, right? So the
Right.
fear of the pain, the running away from the pain is a motivator. The
Yes.
fear of the diabetes is a motivator. Whereas weight loss is more of this kind of thing that we just want,
Right.
because we want to look nice in the mirror. So if you have those fears that you're running away from, I feel like it's much more likely to get you to stay on track.
Well, yes, the fear is the biggest motivator. It's uh, it's it's the same. Like going back decades when I came to this country, and fear was the biggest motivator to for me to have better life. Like I work harder, I would, pursue again going back um, to grad school here, even though I had degree from back from my country. I did that. The life wasn't easy for first 7 years, but uh, for me, I didn't have much of a life. Working during the night, going to school the day. Um, but if I didn't have that fear, I would probably still do the jobs that I did when I came to this country, or even move back to my home country because I wouldn't be able to afford living here. You know. So motivator, the fear is the greatest motivator you have. But I understand people who don't deal with health issues, that it's harder for them to go on carnivore. It's because there is really no motivation. Why would I go on this diet if I feel fine? By until you start thinking what I told you before about the cholesterol and brain connection. And then if you have somebody in your family that are older people and then have problems with their memories, um, and that kind of affects you personally. And then if you start connecting your dots and thinking, well, maybe that's not the best standard American diet, or balanced diet is not the best for you in the future, maybe that will change. And I have friends, my college friends back from my country. One is actually he stayed in the university. He's a uh, PhD, and he had health problems. And years back, I was telling him about keto when keto wasn't even big deal back uh, back in Europe, and he couldn't believe it, and he was kind of like listening, but not really. Now the keto is big. Like there's a lot of people on keto, including my other friends that are doing that. And I told him when I was into the carnivore, and I told him about the carnivore, and right before the Christmas, he said, "Yeah, I'm doing that the same. Maybe not as yes." And because he's been dealing with some health issues too, and he says that he feels much better. Start going to the gym again. Um, I didn't have chance to talk to him. We would just write messages um, over the internet. It's, the time difference, and he has kids, young kids, and family, so it's kind of hard. But another, my another friend, she has some problems too, and I told her about it, and she she knew most of the stuff, like medical wise, that I would tell her. Like she started taking iodine drops, and I told her that the best uh, food that you can put into your body is the rumen animal. So whether it's cow, sheep, or goat, it will act as a medicine for you. And the other the other thing that I didn't mention also, and I think you were the first person who I heard for like a few years back. You said something that you go to the bathroom only once a week, something like that, and then you don't fart, and that kind of stuck with me. Uh, I only go to the bathroom once a week, maybe uh, once twice a week sometimes, but that tells me that what I was eating before, half of that food was unacceptable by the body. That's why it rejects it. And then you have to go to the bathroom every day, sometimes twice a day, depends on how much you were eating. This time, it's most of the food, over 90% of the food, first of all, is digested in the small colon and absorbed by the body. You don't need fiber. You don't. If you feel constipated, okay, eat more fat. If you eat too much liquid fat, well, you will find out that you better stay near the bathroom. Uh, at least in my case, but yeah, that's topic, I guess, for a different time.
No worries. So, Robert, is there a way that people can reach out to you? Do you have any social media or any way of getting in contact?
Uh, yeah, so they can. I have a Facebook. Uh, we can. They can DM me on Facebook. It's Robert Olek, Olek.
Yeah, no
Yes.
problem. I'll link to your Facebook in the show notes.
Okay.
Um, Robert, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your
Well,
story. I really appreciate your time.
it was my pleasure.